So a very good morning to you, John. A very good morning to our viewers, wherever they're finding themselves. We are here at a local hotel in Swakopmund, where the fifth session of the Namibia-Ghana Joint Permanent Commission of Cooperation is underway. Very important engagement coming 2 years after, of course, a biannual meeting coming 2 years since the last engagement. That's on the fourth session that took place in 2022. To help us understand the importance of this meeting and, of course, some of the agenda items, we're joined by Ambassador Penda Nanda, the Executive Director within the Ministry of International Relations and Cooperation. Ambassador Nanda, a very good morning to you. Thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you and good morning. To start off, let me first of all tell you that this meeting is very important to Namibia. Ghana, we've been in relations with Ghana since before our independence. We have some of our scholars who have gone to Ghana before independence. And of course, right at independence, as you know, Namibia was treated as a fifth province of South Africa. We did not have a Ministry of Foreign Affairs. One of the son of the soil who passed on last year, may his soul rest in peace, and that was Ambassador Debra. Most of us as diplomats in the ministry went through his hands to garner those diplomatic skills in order to be able to face the world as a newly independent country. And so Ghana is very important to us. Hence, having established the Joint Permanent Commission with Ghana at independence, the first session was held in 1992 during the presidency of His Excellency Dr. Sam Nujoma, the founding father of our nation as we all know him. So we are now continuing with the fifth session. The fourth session was held in Accra, Ghana in 2022 in April. So we are continuing with this one. And our hope is that we can elevate this to a binational commission which is to be chaired by the two heads of state in the future. So right now we are meeting here in Swakopmund, and this is to discuss issues such as health, trade, SME development. As you know, we have the Banga Group also participating in this session. And so we also have gender issues, education, infrastructure. Our ports authorities are coming together to see what they can get. And so we have a rich agenda in terms of what we want to achieve out of this meeting. And we are hoping to sign several agreements depending on how the discussions go. One agreement we want to sign off is the cooperation in health matters. We have also an agreement on the table on drug-related issues. We want to also cooperate. As you know, several years back, we established the Women Peace Center. And this is looking at our foreign policy in terms of implementing UN Security Council resolutions. We spearheaded the resolution on women, peace, and security. And thereafter, in implementing this resolution, we established the International Women Peace Center in Windhoek. So we wish to enter into an agreement with the Kofi Annan Center in Ghana so we can see how we can cooperate in addressing peace issues, and particularly bringing women around the table to also partake in decisions. And so these are really issues that we are looking at during this session. Senior officials meeting just kicked off now. We are waiting for the ministerial session, which will be the day after tomorrow. The Minister of Ghana is arriving later today. We will then hand over what we have agreed on as senior officials for the two ministers to decide whether they will take it up or whether they will make other recommendations. We are also hoping to put new issues on the table, and depending on how it goes, we want to discuss, as you know, Ghana is hosting the Africa Continental Free Trade Secretariat. So we want to discuss issues related to trade and how we can facilitate our trade. Our beef has entered the Ghanaian market. From Ghana, we are getting shea butter, we are getting materials and other cosmetic products. And so I think we are optimistic in terms of our relations with Ghana. We want to take it to another level.
Ambassador, you mentioned, of course, those 4 areas of possible agreements currently being discussed. But I understand that we have about 17 agreements as well with Ghana. Yeah. How well have those worked for both Namibia and Ghana? Yes.
The purpose of this session is now to review the agreements that we have entered into already. And so reviewing these agreements will determine whether these agreements are just gathering dust or we need them. If we do not need them, we'll discard them. If we need them, we need to implement them. And all the sectors are represented at this meeting. And so we will engage those sectors to say, let us know if you do not need this agreement so we can remove it so we don't waste our time. Because we need to deal with bread and butter issues. Africa is now treating at another level where we really need to concentrate on what we can give to the last person walking in the street of Mondesa and so on.
Ambassador, anything else you'd like to mention? Anything else you'd like to leave us pertaining to this meeting? Yes.
Yeah, I can only encourage the private sector, those who are close by, to make a turn and see what they can get from this meeting, because it's really about facilitating how the private sector can do business with Ghana. And we encourage all of them to come and engage us. I know many people are in Swakopmund attending the Switex event. So we want to encourage them to engage with Ghana so we can see how we can take our trade between the two countries further.
Thank you for being with us, Ambassador, and all the best with this 5th session. Yes. They have it. Ambassador Penda Ananda, Executive Director within the Ministry of International Relations and Cooperation, just giving us an overview of the relations between Namibia and Ghana. Of course, a relation that dates back to the onset of Namibia's independence back in 1990, and those relations continue till today, of course, across a number of sectors. My next guest is the Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center. He goes by the name of Yao Afriye, and he's here to speak to us as well about the relations between Namibia and Ghana. Mr. Afriye, pleasure to meet you again. I met you in Ghana last time. Welcome to Namibia.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Of course, last time we saw the Namibia Investment Promotion Center, as well as that Namibia Investment Promotion Board, pardon me, as well as the Ghana Investment Promotion Center meeting in Accra during the 53rd General Assembly of the World Trade Centers Association. Just talk to us about that meeting, reflect to us on where we are today between the two entities here.
Well, thank you very much. As you rightly put it, the Namibian delegation came to Ghana really to strengthen the bonds of friendship that exist between the two countries and the historical antecedents that we are carrying on in our subsequent deliberations between the two countries. Now, as investment promotion agencies, there is a need to collaborate, there's a need to PLN, there's a need to, as it were, provide the enabling legal instruments through MOUs, through various agreements that enable the trade and investment activities between the two countries. So that meeting was very important because it necessitated important discussions that today we have an MOU in place, which hopefully will cascade into the private sector doing business between our two countries. So the Ghana Investment Promotion Centers coming here to Namibia is really to reinforce that message. The MOU is currently in place, and now we need to look long and hard at it to see whether it's viable, where we can strengthen, where we can discard, and how we can essentially nudge the conversation forward.
What sectors are we looking at primarily between our two countries at this point in time?
I think for us in the economic and infrastructure session, issues around infrastructure, of course, are important for us. Looking at what Namibia has achieved, there are lessons that Ghana can definitely learn. When you also look at industry and what Ghana historically presents in terms of industrial capacity, I think that we can deepen the discussions around those areas. Mines and petroleum, of course, with the advent of oil and gas in Namibia, a nascent industry. Ghana, of course, slightly ahead of you, having discovered oil in commercial quantities in 2010. We believe that there are lessons that both countries should learn from each other, particularly when it comes to local content development, ensuring that the dividends of oil and gas are felt locally. These are areas that we believe we can share some knowledge on. When it comes to the broader investment architecture of both countries, we believe institutions like the GIPC and our colleagues in the Namibia Investment Development Board can provide those enabling instruments for the likes of the Abanga Group and others to be able to do business, in a mutually beneficial way. So we are agnostic. We are open to listening to what the Namibians have to present, and we're also willing and happy to share some of the best practice from Ghana.
Last time we spoke about some of the bottlenecks that investment promotion agencies often face, and this platform is also an opportunity to perhaps help address some of those bottlenecks. Talk to us about that particular aspect here.
I think the obvious bottleneck for us has to be the movement of goods and services. We are now all operating within the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, a very important instrument for all of us. But if we, from a bilateral standpoint, don't cooperate, discuss the issues that impede trade and investment and capital, then I think that we are doing ourselves a great disservice. So I think part of the agenda item is to also speak about aviation, to speak about how we can effectively move goods and services, which I think is the beginning of an important conversation. We want to table the very important conversation around Namibia Air coming back into the Ghanaian market. We believe that you've seen with the visa lifting between Ghana and South Africa, the tourism flows and the trade flows that are going into South Africa. We believe Namibia can also benefit from that. And so that for us is an important starter. And then beyond that, removing the administrative bottlenecks into doing business. For example, having to obtain a visa to Namibia is something that we have to look at under the guise of the AFCFTA and the ease of movement between our peoples.
Perhaps just in closing, you can speak to us about where you are as far as the AFCFTA is concerned, or the African Continental Free Trade Area is concerned, as hosts of the Secretariat, as custodians, of this big dream of Africa. Yeah.
Well, I think Ghana must be seen to be leading. Many of the protocols have been established. The investment protocol, for example, has been discussed. It needs ratification at the heads of government level. We believe that Ghana should lead in adopting some of these protocols, which should hopefully cascade into other nations, states also adopting best practice. Once we're able to remove some of the barriers, simplify, merge, standardize some of our investment and trade regimes, we believe that it would inure to the collective prosperity of Ghana and Namibia and the entire African continent.
Mr. Afriyie, good to have you here. Welcome to Namibia once more. Do enjoy your time in the country.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
We have it, Mr. Yao Afriyie. He is the Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, for just speaking to us about his participation here at this fifth session of the JPCC as well. Of course, the NIPDB, that's the Namibia Investment Promotion Center, Investment Promotion Development Board, and the Ghana Investment Promotion Center met last year on the sidelines of the 53rd General Assembly of the World Trade Centers Association. You've heard there is memorandum of understanding in place, and of course, they look to build on those relations. Now, my next guest goes by the name of Thomas Abanga. He is, of course, the group chairman of the Abanga Group of Companies. He is here in Namibia as well and was crucial in Namibia exporting beef to Ghana, and he is here to reflect on that particular progress and also his presence here at this fifth session of the JPCC. Mr. Abanga, very good day to you. Welcome to Namibia. I think you are a frequenter of Namibia by now. Hey?
Maybe I have to be a citizen of Namibia now, but it's a great thing to be here. I think it is very important for this occasion, looking at the emancipation, the economic emancipation that has been propelled by current world events. I think it's now evident that we should trade among ourselves. And I've started this journey about 2021, thereabout, up to date, through the instrumentality of the High Commissioner of Namibia to Ghana, Her Excellency Mama Selma Ashipala Musavi. She has done greatly after 30 years of independence up to 2021. She was able to break the barriers, and they will be able to move trade between Ghana and Namibia, and the first shipment of beef, Namibian delicious beef, is now floating in Ghana through her instrumentality. I think up to date we've imported close to 112 tons. In volumes, in US dollars, volume is about 400 and something thousand. And I think we're looking to build on that. So I think this is a manifestation of that kind of trade agreement. It is, like the ambassador said, it is people movement first before trade. So without the movement of trade, people, we cannot have movement of trade. And we look to expand on that. I always say that, listen, economies are built by private sector, and politics must be absent in this process. And I think our African technocrats need to separate that and allow business to flow. Namibia is a very great country with a lot of resources. I think if you go to Ghana now, you want to talk about Namibian beef, everybody wants to have a beef up. And we have expanded the market, you know, and now we're looking to do more, especially that will benefit our northern brothers and sisters in the NCA area. I think that is our focus, and that's what we want to make movement on. I think if you look at West Africa, we are getting closer to 500 million people. So if you look at investing just $1 a year on beef, that is almost $400 million. So there's a great potential in that area.
Just coming back to talking about some of those barriers and bottlenecks, as you call it. How can we go about addressing some of those shortcomings, and how perfect a platform does this fifth session of the JPCC offer to, of course, sort out some of those and iron out some of those shortcomings here?
I think, as you will bear with me, we had the Organization of African Union. I know you're a young guy. During our time, it was the organization of, before the AU. And all these institutions were set up to propel trade and movement of people. If you look at the older generation, especially in this country, when I say I'm a Ghanaian, they embrace me, you know, because they know the struggle that we all went. But after that generation, this kind of generation, they don't see the significance. There's still that barrier. Now you can see that South Africa has now issued, they are now having no visa. You don't require a visa to go to South Africa. I think it's now time for Namibia to also have a look at that, because you cannot have significant trade without the movement, free movement of people. And you and I, we are one. You know, we are all one. I am an African. I don't classify myself as a Ghanaian, but I look at myself as an African. If you look at Europe now, you see the movement that is happening. They are all consolidating. So I think it's about time now for us to consolidate.
You represent the private sector. Just what are your hopes to come from this meeting? You represent the Ghanaian private sector, and I think you can also speak on behalf of the Namibian private sector. Obviously, key drivers of these agreements, key drivers of our economies, really. What is your hope, and how can we make things easier for you?
You know, there's a research that is floating that in the next 10 to 15 years, the entire world is going to depend on Africa for two things. Number one, they're going to depend on us for food. Why? Because 65% of the agriculture uncultivated land is in Africa. Then the second thing that will be dependent on us is human capital. Those who are below 30 are found here. So I think it is about time for us to look into the youth. You know, looking at employment for the youth, creating opportunities, how youth can be entrepreneurs, not to be working for government. So I think this occasion also need to address the youth to make sure that we have more entrepreneurs who are youth. And I think Abanga Group, that's what we are propelling. And I think that's what we're engaging. We're looking not just the beef, but we're also engaged in agriculture. As I speak to you right now, we, in partnership with the government, an institution, a development institution called MIDA in Canada, we are engaged in 4 countries. Mano River, that is Liberia, Guinea, Sierra Leone, and Ivory Coast. We are going to be cultivating in the next 5 years 200,000 hectares of rice, you know, and the goal for me is to create 250,000 jobs, and also to reduce importation of rice by 50%. That can be replicated here in Namibia, because we have a lot of youth that have no jobs. So I think the only area that can create jobs for the youth is agriculture, and we need to make agriculture more romantic, you know, by creating innovation, integrating innovation that will attract the youth. So I think our focus, especially with this, should be on the youth, how to create jobs for the youth.
Mr. Banga, thank you for being with us. Thank you for being in Namibia. I should say welcome back to Namibia. And of course, all the best with this meeting here.
You are always a great guy, and I love this country. I love the people of this country, and we want to make sure that the youth will be the center of this advocacy. Thank you very much.